If you are looking for the counters and the budget counters for the legendary Pokemon Zacian, then you've come to the right place. That's precisely what I'm going to be talking about in this video. Considering that Zacian is a pure fairy type, it's a bit of a head scratcher for the average player. A lot of players do not know how to counter fairy types, and especially with the moveset that Zacian has, it's not going to be as simple as just stacking your team with a whole bunch of Metagross. I'm going to be talking about all the little tricks that you could use in order to defeat this boss easily with just a few other trainers. So yeah, with that said, let's get into the intro and get right into it. And how's it going, everyone? It's me, it's Count here with a brand new Pokemon GO raid guide video. Today we're going to be covering Zacian. This is the pure fairy type legendary Pokemon from the Galar region. For some reason, Niantic decided to completely skip over Alola and go straight into the Galar legendaries. So, Zacian is the first of two legendary Pokemon from the Galar region that we will see in 2021. But to future-proof this video, I am going to be giving you all of the counters as well as the budget counters for this fairy type legendary Pokemon that you could even use years down the road once this Pokemon returns. Right, so let's get right into it. Before I jump into the counters for Zacian, I have to talk about its moveset. It has a lot of moves that actually covers it against some of the top counters that Zacian will face. First and foremost, it can have the fast move Fire Fang and Snarl. These are moves that are going to be detrimental to your Metagrosses, and of course Metagross is the strongest steel type Pokemon that you could use at the time that I'm recording this video. And then of course it also has close combat as a charge move, which of course is going to decimate your steel types. So there's a lot of different things you have to look out for when you're going up against this Pokemon. I highly suggest you focus in on what the recommended Pokemon are, because it's going to indicate what moveset that legendary Pokemon is going to bring. But of course both poison types and steel types are countered by a lot of Zacian's moves, so ideally you will want multiple teams of different Pokemon so that you have a quick switch to a secondary team once all of your Pokemon are knocked out. Considering that Zacian has so much type coverage, it's more than likely you will be burning through two sets of Pokemon, unless of course you have a full lobby of 20 trainers. Right, so let's get into those counters right now. First and foremost, the two absolute best counters that you could bring is Mega Gengar as well as Metagross. Now I mentioned earlier that Metagross does get countered by a lot of Zacian's moves, but regardless, because Metagross has a lot of DPS as well as a lot of TDO, it should still be able to survive, considering that it does have a lot of defense, and overall it's still going to be effective compared to other steel types. Now let's say you don't have a good Metagross, then you can opt to use other Pokemon like Dialga and Genesect. Both of these Pokemon with steel type moves could decimate Zacian, and of course with Dialga, it does have that dragon typing, which will somewhat neutralize Fire Fang. Instead of it becoming super effective, it'll essentially be just neutral damage. So that's something you can keep in mind. If you're having trouble defeating Zacian with Fire Fang, you could opt to use Dialga instead. But do note that Dialga does have a vulnerability to fighting types, which means if the Zacian has close combat as its charge move, then your Dialgas will struggle very heavily up against this raid boss. Now aside from these two, some of the other counters that you could bring include Mega Beedrill, like if you do not have a really strong Mega Gengar, or you have someone else using Mega Gengar and you want to push for some more type coverage with your Mega Evolutions, then you can opt to go with Beedrill. And then of course regular Gengar with poison type attacks is also going to be really strong. You could also use Pokemon like Exadrill, all with steel type moves. All of these Pokemon are going to do really well against Zacian, mainly because it is that pure fairy type, so it will be vulnerable to those steel type attacks. And there's plenty of other counters that you could bring that are more on the budget side, like if you are lacking in legendaries and top tier Pokemon, you could opt to go with Scizor and Venusaur. Both of these Pokemon are really effective. And of course with Scizor, you will want to go with steel type attacks like Bullet Punch and Iron Head, but do keep in mind that Scizor does have a double weakness to fire types, so if it has Fire Fang, expect your Scizor to get completely melted down. Now you could also go with Venusaur and Roserade. These are also very strong Pokemon considering that they have very strong poison type attacks. Venusaur also has a Mega Evolution, so if you're lacking in Beedrills and Gengars, you could opt to go with Venusaur if that's the Mega Evolution you have available. But yeah, it's really going to be tricky because of Zacian's move pool, considering that it has a lot of counters to steel types and poison types. So yeah, do keep in mind that unless you're zerging down this raid boss with 20 trainers, like, you're going to burn through a lot of your Pokemon, considering that Zacian has a lot of moves that counter these specific Pokemon. But of course, Zacian is not necessarily going to be extremely high in terms of stats. It will be somewhat easy to take down, especially if you have level 50 Pokemon as well as some weather boosts on your side. If you are going to go up against this boss with the least number of trainers as possible, I highly suggest you go with 3 other trainers, and if you want to challenge yourself, then you could go with 2 other trainers, or even just 1 other trainer if you have the absolute right conditions. Considering that Zacian is a pure fairy type, it's going to be boosted by only 1 weather, and that is of course cloudy weather, and if you're looking for the perfect IVs, it's going to be 2188 in its regular form, and in its weather boosted form, it'll be 2735. In terms of Zacian's relevance in the Master League and Ultra League, yes, this Pokemon is going to be extremely useful considering that it has just so much type coverage, but considering that it is not necessarily well-rounded in stats, it's not necessarily going to be that impactful compared to other Pokemon, but considering that there is a huge lack of fairy type counters in the Master League, this Pokemon is definitely one you should invest in. The only thing you'll have to watch out for is of course those Dialgas, but considering that you could bring a Zacian with Fire Fang and Close Combat, yes, those Dialgas will still fear in their boots, so yeah, this is a very solid Pokemon that you could add to your collection. But yeah, there you have it everyone, this is my counters guide for Zacian. I hope you found this video to be helpful. If you did, make sure you share it with your friends, as well as hitting that subscribe button for more raid guide videos just like this one, and don't forget that little bell as well. And yeah, I'm Count Jinsula, be safe, have fun, and I'll catch you all later.